everybody. Good afternoon. It's Jessica Jones. I'm the Cryptid Huntress. I'm just over here printing out some papers. Welcome into the show today. Oh my gosh, we have such a wonderful show. I have our good friend John Vandeventer in the studio today. We're going to be talking about a really interesting UFO crash that happened back in the 1960s. It's called the Kecksburg UFO incident. We have some connections to make. And of course, John writes an amazing book series called Relics book series, Nepal book series, The Shadow Chasers. He's got several different series, if that's how you say that, series. And so we're going to be making some connections today with the Nazi Bell. Yes, I said the word. I know I probably shouldn't say that on air, but we're going to make some connections with that and the Vril Society today. Y'all know I have covered the Vril Society a little bit when we talked about, I think it was, I don't know, maybe we're talking about reptilians or something, but we've talked about it before here on the channel, and this is just pretty mind-blowing. I even did a remote viewing target of this Kecksburg UFO incident, and so we're going to get into a little bit of that data too. This is all a brand new target. I haven't discussed this with you guys before, and I'll probably put that data up on my Patreon after the show if you guys are interested in seeing that, for all my members there. So thank you guys so much for being here. Buckle up. We got some rabbit holes today, and I'm not going to be in a rush because my son's on fall break this week, so we can go a little bit over an hour today. Okay, so it's going to be awesome. Okay, y'all. Well, if you'd like to follow along with all of my shows and everything, y'all know the drill. Go to thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows there, all the events I'm going to be at, including the Molina Bigfoot Festival. And I would love for y'all to please come see me out there. It's going to be a great time with Matthew Delph, Dr. John Stamey. We got Flat Rock that's going to be there, and Tyler, and a bunch of other people. And I'm actually going to be speaking the night before at their library too. I think I'm going to give a little presentation out there for that day, or that night before the event. And come see me at the East Alabama Bigfoot Town Hall as well. That's in January. Amazing lineup. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see MK Davis again. I just can't. I can't wait to see all those guys. I love all those people that are on that list right there. And we always have a wonderful time together. And yeah, we'll put out some really interesting information at those events. And it's always fun. All right, y'all. Well, let's get to our show today. I hope y'all had a great weekend. Thank you guys so much again for being here on Saturday night. We had a 3-hour tour. That's what we called it. With Eric Testerman, author E.D. Testerman came on. We talked about weaponized werewolves. And if y'all missed that show, please go back and watch it. It's a 3-hour long show. I know it's long, but I believe I already have it up on my podcast platform. So if you can't watch it on YouTube, man, there's a lot of commercials on YouTube right now. I'm even having a hard time watching it YouTube. Okay. I love YouTube. Okay. But y'all can always listen to my shows on Spotify and other podcasting platforms. And also I upload my shows to Rumble as well. They're not live on Rumble, but they're on there. So there are alternatives. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there to you guys. But thank you so much for being here on YouTube. I do appreciate it. And on Facebook as well. I have shows that are airing live on Facebook too. Okay. All right. Let's get into this Kecksburg incident here. All right. Let me get my notes, and then I'm going to bring John up. Okay. On the evening of December 9th of 1965, thousands of people across the United States and Ontario reported seeing a fireball streak across the sky. In Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, a crash was reported in the nearby woods. U.S. military personnel arrived shortly afterward and sealed off the area. They were seen later removing a large object in a flatbed truck. The next day, the fireball and crash were attributed to a mid-sized meteor, and residents were assured that nothing had been recovered from the woods near Kecksburg, although witnesses who arrived on the scene before the military got there described seeing a bronze-colored, acorn-shaped object roughly the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, which I find that interesting. Volkswagen. I think that's German made, right? But it had markings that resembled Egyptian hieroglyphics. Some say that they were forcefully turned away by men in black. And they also or by our military, and the MIBs, the men in black, showed up at people's houses and told them to keep quiet about what they knew and what they saw. So today we are exploring the Kecksburg UFO. We're going to be looking into the Nazi Bell and also the Vril Society today. And with me, I have author John Vandeventer, and he's the author of the Relics book series. He's also a 16-year veteran of the United States Air Force, and he has a lifelong love of military aviation history and an interest in UFOs, which he includes in all of his books, just about. You guys, please help me welcome to the show today my good friend, John Vandeventer.
Hey, how you
Hey, John.
doing? Hey, it's called Series Series is this?
Series is.
You know,
I know, like series is.
So you're going to see MK Davis, or were you just
I
with
am.
MK? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
in January.
I felt bad for me. In 2019, he was speaking here at Honobi, and they wanted me to be the first speaker. I don't know, maybe somebody dropped out. And I was going before Ron Moorhead and MK Davis, and I was like, you want me to speak? So I got up there, and after me, I think was Ron, and then Scott Nelson, somebody else, and they had MK coming in last. Well, I think by the time he got there, we'd broken the PowerPoint projector, and he kept having to stop, and we'd have like 5 guys over there working on the PowerPoint projector, and for some reason he hadn't been back.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's the sweetest, man. I love MK. I got to meet him.
Super nice guy. Yeah, he is.
He's so sweet. I got to meet him last year at the last East Alabama town hall. I was not a presenter there. I was just there. I kind of snuck in. I didn't tell anybody I was going. And I just kind of showed up, and I ended up seeing all sorts of my friends. even my cousin was there. And I got to meet MK for the first time last year at that event. So yeah, he has real footage. He has some of the original footage of the Patterson Gimlin film.
And that was such a shame that, we kept having problems with the projector, because he had a great presentation. We finally got it on track, and it kept going.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to see him again. He has the best presentation ever, hands down. I was actually crying by the end of his presentation, or in the middle of it, because it was really sad, actually, what happened to Patty, I think. So but Haley, thank you so much for this super sticker. It says car wash fun for the future off-roading adventures. Oh my God. Remember, if you hear banjos, you've gone too far. Haley. Okay. So Haley is referring to me getting lost in Alabama like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I think that was last weekend. John, my GPS went haywire when I was in the deep woods of Alabama, and I went off-roading by accident, like big time. I didn't know if we were going to make it out of there. It was
That's
bad.
An adventure. What did people do before GPS?
Paper maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all need paper maps. Okay, paper maps are imperative. I will be contacting all of the different states getting paper maps. And if I don't travel there at a welcome center, I'm going to contact them and ask for paper maps to be sent to me. You can do that.
Ben's going to have to be looking at the map, so he's going to have to be your navigator.
Yes. Well, I need to teach him how to use maps too. It's important.
Yes, it is.
That's something that, we depend too heavily on our GPS, and it was my fault for not getting the exact coordinates to where I was going. That was one of those, that was the last time that'll ever happen in incidences. Okay. Cause I knew better. But anyways, thank you, Haley. I appreciate that. My truck is clean. I washed it myself and scraped all the mud off from the top to the bottom and underneath. Okay. But John, we are here to talk about the Kecksburg UFO incident. This is a really interesting one. And go ahead.
I kind of think the best place to start is the Black Forest region of Germany in 1936, where they had a Roswell type UFO crash. For
Okay,
me,
let's do it.
because
Talk about it.
it's I've always wondered, is that where they got their jump on technology, where they started making the jets and the rockets and things like that? I mean, yes, the first jet powered aircraft was actually in Britain. Whittles made a jet engine and put it, I think it was on a Hawker aircraft, but it was the Germans that really got the rocket and the jet engines and put them in mass production and actually put warplanes in the air during World War II.
Hmm.
So it was like they had a jump on technology, and I've always wondered if it had something to do with this UFO crash. And it was kind of the same thing, kind of very similar to Roswell. It crashed in a remote area. And again, well, the Germans came and took it, and they hid it in a tunnel somewhere there in the Black Forest. And then that's where you might want to start going with the Vril Society,
Mhm.
getting access to it. There
Yeah.
you go, Rhea Orsic. She's a she's a big character in Relics 3 in my series.
Well, the Germans no doubt had a lot of technology. Okay, a lot of technology. You and I covered Antarctica and some of the anomalies in Antarctica before, and some of the potential German bases. I mean, I don't think it's a secret at all. There are bases there, but some say that there's hidden alien technology there, maybe even hidden alien bases in Antarctica. We've heard that from several whistleblowers, I believe, and there's a lot of interesting things going on with the Germans, which some of their scientists actually they say that they came to the United States after World War II and
Well, a lot
started
of
maybe
yeah.
even NASA.
Um, well, it's possible. Operation Paperclip brought all those German scientists over. Now, Maria Orsic and the Brill Society, it was kind of an occult thing, and they were the Third Reich was heavy into the occult, during the early 30s and stuff until I don't know something happened where Hitler felt like he had been blindsided by the occult practitioners or something, and he started cutting ties with them about the mid 1930s. But Maria Orsic, she was the leader of the Brill Society, and they were based loosely on it was like they took their information from what was a novel from the 1800s in England called I think it was the Coming Society. I got it written down here somewhere. Yeah, Vril, the power of the coming race, and it was a novel about another life form coming, alien life form coming to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And these women took this and almost made a religion out of it, and she wielded quite a bit of power in Nazi Germany for a while. In the background behind the scenes, there was a lot of occult influence, and the Vril Society was one of the heaviest.
Now, those women they were channels, weren't they? Were they
Yes,
psychics
they were.
and
Yeah,
channeling information?
and they never cut their hair. They let their hair just keep growing down to the length, down the full length of their body. They felt like kind of like the Samson thing. Their power was in their hair.
There is power in the hair. And, I mean, when I've studied, like spirit tracking, because I'm out there in the woods doing this Bigfoot and cryptid field research, and we talk about spirit tracking, and even like with Native American tales of, or why a lot of the men especially had long hair, because it's actually used as an antenna. Okay, it's almost like an antenna where you can pick things up. You can, I don't know, I don't mind putting my hair down. Listen, when I'm in the woods, I know this sounds weird, I try not to wear a hat when I'm out there in the woods doing my research, especially at night, because if you can't see with your eyes, I have actually thought at times, I'm like, well, if I keep my hair down, maybe I can pick up more that surround me psychically, like energetically.
Right.
I think about that kind of stuff when I'm out there. Okay. So, but my hair's not long like those women. Okay. I keep mine trimmed. Definitely keep it trimmed.
Just trying to get my night vision, I won't look anywhere where there's any light or anything, I don't want to lose my night vision out in the night.
That's smart. You got to think like a predator. I'm just kidding. Like a predator. Yeah, you got to do those things when you're out there in the dark. I try not to use my flashlight at all if I'm out there, unless I have to.
Love the moonlit nights.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. Bravo, Johnny. This is the interesting comment right here. I pulled this up. It says Willy Wonka's flying elevator depicts Kimmler's escape aboard the Die Glock, the magician. There's a lot of talk of the Die Glock. Now, is that the same as the Nazi bell, John?
Yeah, that's the same thing. Die Glocke is German for the bell.
Okay.
And see the German marking on there?
Uh-huh.
I did that. It was a swastika, and I didn't figure that close.
I was about that. I was like, that looks like the Swiss Army cross there, but you covered it. Okay, that was smart. Okay, that was smart. Thank you, John. You might have saved my channel. I'm just kidding. No, I did a little research and I went and I looked. I typed in that symbol. I mean, not the actual symbol, but just to see if it was on YouTube. And there are other channels that do have that symbol, and they have 1 million views and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe it'll be okay. I'm not going to worry about it too much. So it's okay, I think. But thank you for doing that. It is a controversial. This is a controversial topic. It's a controversial symbol, of course, for obvious reasons, and some people are scared to even talk about this. But there's so much. It has so much to do with UFOs and the history of UFOs. And I gotta tell you, I did a remote viewing target a while back. And it was I was given the blind coordinate remote viewing target of the Battle of Los Angeles. Okay, and that happened, let's see what year that was.
42.
42, that's, okay, so 42. And it said on February the 25th of 1942, 2 days after a Japanese submarine surfaced and shot at an oil field off Santa Barbara in California, radar stations picked up an unidentified object over Santa Monica at 2:25 a.m. They ended up having, of course, they were on edge. Okay, they were on edge because of that Japanese submarine, but they had military stationed all along the coast right there, and they shot 1,500 rounds. I bet it was more than that. They said 1,500.
That was only a little more than 2 months since Pearl Harbor, too. So,
so they were on edge.
Yes.
Well, they were on edge, and they ended up shooting at this. So as soon as this thing came over Los Angeles, they ended up shooting at it. And this was big news back then. Here's a newspaper clipping from it with the picture. I was remote viewing something that was German made. Okay, something in my data. Actually, I have my data here. I can't pull it up here because I don't have it on there. But it says there was a target. It said Nazi German and foreign. That was all in my data. So that was actually written in my data. I do believe that whatever they were shooting at was German made. Let's just say. I would safely say I think that was something German. Now, that was in 1942. Now we have this 1965 incident over Pennsylvania. This is Kecksburg. Now, whatever this object was, went through the sky. Now, this is my artistic rendering of that. Okay, and I know this was on my stories. This is something I made yesterday, actually.
I thought it came out good. I was wondering.
Thank you. Well, this is what they were looking at, what people saw, like a fireball, something streaking through the sky. looked like maybe something was on fire. It was just like a fireball. And it went over several states and through Canada. And it landed in Pennsylvania. That thing looks okay. So, of course, whenever it landed, people did see it in the town. They saw it. They said the people who saw it and admitted to seeing it said that it looked like it was bronze or copper. It was like a brown color, and it was shaped like an acorn. Okay, an acorn. It kind of looked like that. Now that does look eerily similar to, I mean, not that it's an exact replica, but something kind of like that.
Well, if you think about it, an acorn is bell-shaped. You know, a bell is kind of acorn shaped. And it's like you're looking at capsules, almost like space capsules from the Mercury or Gemini programs from the 60s. And then, yeah, as you can see, the acorn thing took on, because I believe that's a crash site now where they've got that little monument.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, the town has actually embraced all of this at this point, because they do, just like with the Bishopville Lizard Man, that town in South Carolina has the annual Lizard Man Festival now. Okay, just like a lot of places that have something really crazy that happens, it's paranormal or supernatural or unexplainable, they embrace it, have festivals about it. Okay, they just had the Old Green Ice Festival last weekend up at Chickamauga. I love that thing. I didn't get to go, but I'm going to go next year.
I don't know who's got the chat up right now. I can't read because my screen's so small. But they said similar to the Glock, and that's what I've always thought as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you step in the chat window? Can you tell?
Yeah. Yeah, it says, Andrew says the structure is really similar to the Die Glock, for sure.
Oh, Andrew, I can't see your name, so
yeah, it's and Walking Lightly 369, but I know his name. That's Andrew. I gotten to know all my friends in here by their real names, a lot of them. Okay.
The was, the Germans, supposedly there was another program called the Hanabu, and that was more like your traditional flying saucer. And the Glock was always something else. It was some thought it was a time travel machine. There was I forget what the other uses of it were, but let me see.
Well,
yeah, they were using it for time travel, possible space travel, and possible alien contact. Now, for some reason, I always kind of hitched on to the time travel thing. Can you pull up one of the pictures of the structure, that round structure I sent you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, supposedly, this is where it was launched from or tested at, and this is in Poland. And I believe back in the 40s, when they were using it, the walls were actually filled in. But people are also refer to this as Hitler's Stonehenge. But this is where they would test the Die Glock, and supposedly you didn't want to be anywhere near that structure when that thing was fired up.
Wow. Oh my gosh, John, that is wild. It does. I was going to say, before you said that, I was going to say that looks like a Stonehenge or someplace where, okay, now this is going to sound crazy, where rituals take place too.
Yeah. That's the reason for the design. There was function in that design as well. Maybe a cult function, I don't know, or supernatural function.
That's the first thing I think of. Like when I saw that was what I thought. I thought, okay, it looks like hold on. Okay, remove. I'm sorry, I just got a notification that my Facebook is not, it may not be streaming to Facebook today. So I'm sorry. It just showed up in my feed just now. I'm sorry, y'all. Everybody watch it on YouTube. Okay, please. But this right here is, it looks occultish. It looks ancient. It looks like something where people would go do ceremonies and rituals.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
And that would line up with the Vril Society, okay, and all of the ritualistic things that the Germans were doing.
Yes. And my thing too, if it was a time travel machine, if they did launch it in the 40s and they sent it ahead of time, either to get a Nazi official out, or something like that. You know, Hitler, one of his biggest aides, flew to England in 1940 in a Messerschmitt 110, parachuted out because he thought he could make peace between Germany and England, and he ended up going to prison for the rest of his life. Maybe it was something like that, and they were going forward in time for whatever reason. I've always wondered if that's what happened, if some Nazi got in that thing and blasted itself to December 9th, 1965, to escape what was coming, and people were waiting on him.
Oh my gosh, that's deep. Like it's deep right there.
That maybe that's why there was such a rapid military response to Kecksburg, because you think about it, that was a rapid military response they had to get in those woods.
It was. Now, okay, I've watched a couple of documentaries on this today and yesterday. I do all my research like right the day of my shows and the day before. So it's fresh in my mind. Okay, so there were people who were interviewed that were on site during this Kecksburg incident.
A lot of them are still
they're still alive today, and I watched the last documentary I watched was the Small Town Monsters. They had gone and done a documentary on it.
It's a good one. I want to. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a good one, and it was pretty recent. I don't know the year that they made that, but it was pretty recent. And they interviewed a gentleman who was 10 years old at the time, whose family's home is where they made their base camp. Okay, for the government came in and pretty much told the parents, said, "Hey, put your kids to bed."
They were playing football in the yard. He said he was 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was 7, probably doing the same thing back in Plano, Texas at night.
Well,
I saw him at 10. I looked at him and, oh my God, he's old.
Oh my gosh. Well, the kids went to bed. Of course, it was like MIBs kind of. They were talking about Men in Black were showing up at people's houses, and the kids were sent to bed, but they stayed up and they looked outside at what was going on. And this guy was explaining that he actually said that even after they came in and they'd set up their operations in his home, they actually denied doing it later on after it was all said and done, because it just lasted for like a night. And they got the vehicle out of there. They got this vessel, whatever this UFO was. They put it on a flatbed truck and they got it out of there within 24 hours. It was gone. But he said that they later denied, I think they denied even being there, but they definitely denied using his telephone at his house and stuff. So it was a total cover up right off the bat. But he said something very interesting. He said that NASA showed up. Okay. Now, NASA, to me at this point, I don't trust them. Okay. And whenever NASA's involved, this is just my personal opinion. According to my data, because this is something I had remote viewed. Okay. And I kept getting cover up. Almost, I got an experimental probe. Okay. Experimental probe is something that I wrote down. Man-made, so not alien. Okay. Man-made, a setup, heavy cover up. I even wrote down paperclip is in my data as well for this target. But the world is a stage was also in this data. The world is a stage. And what do we know about NASA? They like to set things up. They like to make things, they like to cover things up. Okay. And like deceive the public. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is what I think. It's for educational purposes only. But anyways, that's just my opinion. That's my me interjecting my opinion in this. Is that it makes it a little more sketchy, in my opinion. John, what do you think?
Show me educated. Well, you know, I've seen, like in the last 10 years, especially, a lot of people talking about NASA in that light. And I have to tell you, I guess I haven't paid much attention to what they're doing since we got rid of the space shuttle, and we're depending on Russia to get us into space and stuff, I've lost interest. And you got to remember, I'm a boomer, and I grew up in the NASA glory days. I remember stopping everything we were doing to watch man walk on the moon. I remember Apollo 8 when they just went around the moon. I remember Apollo 13. I remember the Gemini and Mercury projects. Again, I was in the aircraft and stuff. So, I remember the Mercury 7 astronauts. They were like rock stars when I was a kid. So, yeah, I haven't paid much attention what NASA's been up to or the behind the scenes stuff. So you'll have to show me needing more education on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm reading all these comments about NASA in the chat just now, and I'm like, oh, okay. I think a lot of people would agree with what I said. Okay, but it's it's like we've been.
And I'm not saying you're not true. I'm just telling you my experience. When I grew up, NASA was like the holy grail of science.
It was.
We had NASA, we had Star Trek. I mean, it was just a complete different time to be alive than what you experienced 20 years later coming along. When did you come along? 78?
Yeah. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you what year I was born. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Sorry.
I was born at some point, but I don't ever tell anybody how old I am.
You're
figure it out though.
Your NASA was a Challenger explosion, and the other space shuttle disaster. So
yeah,
we different NASAs.
Oh yeah, you guys. I'm sorry, the Facebook feed is out. That's a StreamYard problem, and I'm seeing it in the chat. You guys are saying that Facebook is out. It definitely is. Something's wrong with StreamYard today, where I'm not able to stream there. So thank y'all, everybody, for being here on YouTube today. We're still going strong. I'll upload the video once we're done today to Facebook, though. Okay. So you guys can see it there. We do usually have a good bit of people watching on Facebook too, John. So that stinks. Facebook's busted. That's right. Okay. But yeah, okay. Well, when I was in sixth grade, that was in the 80s. Okay, it was definitely in the 80s. We went to Huntsville Space Center for a field trip. And that was the highlight of my childhood. Okay, it was one of them because I was very much I used to want to be an astronomer. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was obsessed with UFOs and black holes and weird stuff out of space. And I did all my projects on black holes and, UFOs and crafts and the planets and stuff. I was just completely, it was almost unnatural. Okay. How much I enjoyed reading about outer space and stuff. And I got to ride the Gravitron, like I'll never forget that stuff when I was a kid. And I would have been really cool with being an astronaut when I grew up. And now I am a bit of a time traveler with my remote viewing stuff, I guess, and all this paranormal work that I do. It's kind of connected a little bit, but yeah, space is a big deal.
It's funny, like I say, back in the 60s when I was a little boy and early 70s, yeah, NASA they were it, man. And then once I got growing up and I joined the Air Force, and I don't know, I always thought the space shuttle was kind of a boring thing because I thought we would progress after the moon. I thought we'd go to Mars, I kept looking for that Mars program and it never came. So I guess I quit paying attention to NASA. And then, in the last few years, I've seen the people talking about NASA and I'm like, what have they been up to? I haven't paid attention. What have they been up to or what have they not been up to, I guess?
Right. Yes. Well, it seems as though some of the scientists from Germany came here, according to a lot of the research that I've done. You can find documentaries on it. It's pretty apparent. There were not, let's just say, I guess not. But my friend Bryce says schmatzy. Okay, so she doesn't say that word. The schmatzy scientists came over here and started working at places like NASA and doing some of this experimentation. We even talked about the Billywhack monster. Okay, that was a person. Now, I don't think he was supposed to be from Germany, but the scientist, he came from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, or Switzerland, came here and was doing experimentation underneath the dairy in California making hybrid human animal hybrids, like the goat man Billy Wag Monster. That's documented right there.
Hmm.
So, but that was also before World War II. Okay, that was in the 1920s.
Our first rockets were German V2s we brought over from Europe that we captured after the war. And the people launched them were German, and they were launching them out in El Paso and places like that. So,
yeah, there's a lot of intermingling going on here, and so yeah, with this Kecksburg incident, the 1960s, John. Let's travel back to 1965. What was the political environment like in the United States? Who was fighting who? There was a Cold War brewing, or it was in the middle of the Cold War, right?
it was big Cold War between us and Russia. We just had the Cuban Missile Crisis a couple of years before that, which nearly turned into a nuclear war. 65, we're gearing up for Vietnam. We're starting to get more and more involved in Vietnam. Lyndon Johnson was president. We just lost Kennedy to assassination 2 years earlier. So, yeah, it was a pretty stressful time politically and geopolitically.
It was. And around that time is when our government started using they created a remote viewing program too, to counteract what Russia was doing, because they had psychic spies.
Yeah, that's true. That and LSD. They were experimenting with LSD on U.S. servicemen.
Well, they continue to do that with the Montauk program and the project too, with a bunch of different projects. And I'm sure a lot of them that we've never even heard of before. So a lot of new programs kind of came about through this Cold War. But remote viewing is the one that I'm the most interested in, with Project Jedi and Project Stargate. That was all kind of created around the Cold War era. And it's interesting because I do have this remote viewing target here that I did this session for this Kecksburg UFO. Okay, so things were a little dicey in the world then, and the U.S. was obviously worried about spies, because if they've enacted a remote viewing program during that time, there's probably all sorts of weird stuff going on where they're spying on Russia too, I'm sure, right? So we're spying back and forth. There's at that time, did we have satellites in the sky, John?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Well, could this thing have been maybe a satellite or something? Or
possible it could have been a Russian satellite. I mean, we were both highly interested in the other side's space programs, and we were spying on that too. You know, everybody, the space race, the whole thing of getting to the moon, that was just window wash to see who could get the best rockets and who could threaten the other side more. If we could get a guy at the moon, we could get a warhead on the Kremlin. Okay. And that's really getting guys to the moon. That was kind of just eyewash for testing weapons. It really was.
Okay.
So that kind of fits in with your NASA theory now that I think about it. Boom. So show me a little bit more educated.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What is Marian says the Challenger event occurred when I was in school. Yeah, me too. I remember that too. You know what's really odd, John, is that now this could be AI. I don't know. In this modern day, a lot of things we see online, you can't believe everything you see now because there's so much AI going on. But I remember that Challenger exploding, and all the teacher passed away, the crew all passed away. And today there's like all these posts online of where they're showing the actual astronauts alive and well teaching at colleges today.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember it too. I was in the Air Force. I was in Arizona, and I just launched my A-10 out, and I went into the hangar, into the office area, and there was a TV, and everybody was watching it on TV. It had just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I was at home from school that day. I don't know if they kept us home or what, but I was at home and we were watching that on the television. And when it exploded, it was devastating. It was just devastating.
And
Um,
the second shuttle disaster, when it blew up on reentry or came apart, it went
mhm,
right over where I lived. I heard the sonic boom, and I remember hearing the sonic boom from it and thinking, "Oh man, some pilot's going to get." I thought it was some military pilot broke the sound barrier by accident, but no, it was actually the space shuttle coming apart and going
yeah.
over.
Yeah. Well, I've actually been told by fellow remote viewers that they remote viewed that. I have not remote viewed it. I was told that that really happened. Those people actually did pass away and they actually ended up drowning to death, is what I was told.
Yeah.
But now we've got all these. So it's just it's so weird because then we throw in this like Mandela effect and time travel and I don't know. It's hard to know. I do trust my fellow remote viewing friends though that remote viewed that a long time ago, and they said that that did happen. They did pass away. So who knows? Who knows anymore? But the world is a stage, okay, and I do keep that in the back of my mind, and that was in this data today. Um, but okay, so thousands of people saw this Kecksburg UFO, John. Thousands. And it made landfall. It fell down in Pennsylvania in a rural area called Kecksburg, and it was it was kind of heavily covered up. I think that I had some newspaper articles, but I didn't upload them. I completely forgot to upload them today,
Where
but it
where
made the
it
news.
it was kind of in a low area, a wooded area, but down in, like a ravine,
Hmm.
and townspeople were able to come at it from two directions. And like I said, there was really, for something like that, rapid military response. I mean, it always, to me, it seemed like they were expecting it, and wasn't quite sure where it was going to come down. But a lot of people got to mill around it and see it, get close to it, before the military and the police showed up. So
Hmm.
um, there there were witnesses. There were witnesses that did get a good look at it. In fact, and we'll get on it a little later, that reporter John Murphy got supposedly got down there and got photographs of it.
Oh, okay. So someone actually got their own photographs of it before the military showed up.
Yeah, or he got down there and got it while the military was around and they weren't paying attention. This was a reporter, and he started hearing people were calling the radio station, and he was the news director for the radio station. It was, let me see. I wonder if that radio station is still in business. Maybe not.
Wow. Okay, well, when the people saw it, it was really odd because it looked like it had Egyptian hieroglyphics on it. And that is something that has come up time after time in some of my data with some of these ancient objects that have been recovered or are said to be like in Antarctica and in Alaska. I was tasked with a target of the Black Pyramid in Alaska. And Tanya, my friend who's a remote viewer, she was given that same target. We both were seeing what we thought were Egyptian hieroglyphics on it, on whatever we were remote viewing. But they weren't Egyptian. It was a little bit different than Egyptian writing, but it looked like Egyptian hieroglyphics, but it was almost like alien or ET or something. I think that's kind of how both of us described it on two different targets. But you can see in this picture right here, it looks kind of like that. That was what was on this UFO, John, right?
Right. And bring up a picture of the Nazi bell again.
Okay.
And if you look at the very bottom of the skirt, it's a very bottom ring. There's your hieroglyphics.
Wow. Okay, but they're not exactly Egyptian, I don't think. But I don't know. I'm no expert on Egyptian hieroglyphics.
You got to remember, this is an artist rendering, so he doesn't know. He's just making random shapes.
Yeah. Okay, well you have an idea of what it could be though, and I think this is pretty genius. Okay. What do you think that those hieroglyphs actually might be.
Well, I haven't matched them because I'm not sure if we're getting the exact ones, but I've wondered if it could be Enochian.
Yeah. Enochian. That is interesting. Now, can you describe or explain what the Enochian alphabet and Enochian runes are?
Enochian is supposedly the language of the angels. And it was actually first brought up or made public by two guys in 1822 or 1812 who had been speaking and had been taught it supposedly by an angel. So it's either completely ancient beyond belief or only goes back to 1912 if these guys hoaxed it. But it doesn't seem to be a hoax because people said they found those exact characters other places, where like in digs for exploratory digs like around pyramids and things like that.
I mean, okay, my opinion, and with all the targets that I've had and all the data that I've gotten out of a lot of these objects, like big pyramids, the dark pyramids, the octagon structures in Antarctica, I think that you're onto something. I do, and you've actually put this in your books too.
Yeah,
I think the Enochian runes could be what's actually on those. I don't know. I mean, would that have connections to the occult too, with the rituals and the conjuring and things like that, like conjuring entities?
it all has something to do with going back to our biggest enemy. It all streams from there. If this is true, if it is the actual Enochian language, well, who would know the Enochian language? Who would be a master of it? Him and all his minions would be. Also,
Yeah.
if you look at that wheel, isn't it funny how they love to put everything in a wheel, like the black sun? And I'm sure you picked up the black sun.
Yep.
The Vril were associated and worshiped the black sun. And when you showed me that wheel with the Enochian images on it, I'm like, that reminded me of the black sun.
It does. It does. I mean, when you mentioned this before with the show this morning, before we went live, I thought, man, this resonates. Okay, this resonates. And I'm seeing these symbols. I guess this is a graphic, so you can't really see it unless I put my hand up.
Cool. I can see it.
Look, wait, hold on, I put it on my face. I look like a bug. Okay.
Oh, there again, look.
You can see those. I know, right? I look. Okay, let's take that down. I didn't mean for that to come out like that. Sorry. I thought it had a background on it. But these symbols look like what things that I've seen, like these look like some of the symbols that have been on some of those objects that I've done remote viewing on.
I didn't think about it at the time when I was writing Relics 3, but most of the story happens in Heavener, Oklahoma, or a lot of it, and we have a thing there called the Viking runestone or the runestone, and it's this massive rock sticking up out of the ground, and it's got ancient runes carved into it, and people have said, well, it's Viking runes, and it's really not. Some people say it's all a hoax done in the 1800s. Some still think it's Viking ruins. I need to look and see if any the ruins on that rock are on that Enochian ruin thing.
I mean,
I tied that rock into the story too. So
wow. I mean, there's all sorts of
something. I'll make a novel out of it. It's just got to be a little bit weird, and I'll take off with it.
Yeah, and you do a great job with it too. You do. Now we do have there have been Viking runes, all sorts of Viking stuff. Okay, like objects and swords and runes and whatever found here in the United States. Maybe they were just traveling through North America at some point. I'm sure they were. Of course they were.
They tried to say that, well, they probably came into the Gulf Coast and came up, the Mississippi or the Red River or something. to get up here. I don't know, but yeah, there's quite a debate going on about who actually made the runes in that stone. But I just picked it up as part of my story. Um,
Mhm.
but I think what's more interesting are the mounds and
Mhm.
and the American mounds and things like that. And I wonder sometimes, like, as you come across some of these things like this Enochian language and the Enochian runes or hieroglyphics, if that's been kept from us and it does match up with stuff like found in the Native American mounds or mounds over or down in Peru around those ruins or Egypt, you know, if there's a common thread bringing all this stuff together, that might be something for your remote viewing too.
Yeah, it would be. That would be a good one. Yeah. Hey, Eric. Eric's in the chat. He was my guest on Saturday night, and we talked about the weaponized werewolves. But what's up, Eric? He says, could it be a combination of several extinct? Is it languages? Okay. Are you there, John? I lost you for
Yeah,
a second.
I
Okay.
lost you for a second. Yeah, Eric, it possibly could be. We don't know who makes these languages. We don't know. They're mysterious, and you want to think, well, wow, this is something deep. That like at Nokia, I'm looking thinking, oh my goodness, is this the language of the angels? Is this something they developed, or is it something some little teenage wise guy back in the you know 20 AD or something started pounding on a rock making runes, so you just never know. You never know with this stuff.
Yeah, you don't. But okay, and it could be, I know a little bit about magic. Okay, I've studied magic and stuff, and I know that sigils are a big part of magic. Okay, sigils, and those look like sigils to me too. Like maybe it's Enochian alphabet, maybe it's language of some sort, but to me it looks like sigils on these, on the die Glock, on the Nazi bill, on the Kecksburg UFO. If this is what it looks like, those are like sigils too. So it could be that. I mean, that would
Yeah.
actually back up the whole magical side of it, right?
Yeah. Do you have the black and white side by side comparison I sent you of the two? It's a
I,
drawing.
I did, but I can't find it. So I'm trying. I'll go see if I can. I'm going to dig through again and see if I can find it. I'll pull it up.
That's the best one for showing
Oh, here it
the
is. I do have it. Yes, I forgot to upload it. It's right here. It's coming.
okay.
Here we go. Perfect. There you go.
Sorry, the emblem stayed on that one. I didn't think about that.
It's okay. Yeah, you can see the differences and the similarities.
Right.
Okay. They look very similar, and there's some of the same symbols. I mean, it looks very similar. Strange inscriptions were found on both the bell and the Kecksburg acorn. Okay. Well, okay, part of the data on that Kecksburg UFO, I wrote down, I heard clairaudiently, I'd heard because I put it in quotation marks. It said behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Okay. And there was I wrote down trial run behind enemy lines. Okay, so we could assume from that data that this was an enemy of the United States, of North America. Who were our top enemies back then, John?
Well, at the time of the Kecksburg incident, our biggest foe would have been Soviet Russia. I mean, that was it was a Cold War, but that was our enemy. But if you're talking about a test run behind enemy lines, to me that says Nazi Germany in the 40s, and that says they fired that thing off in 1945, said it'd come back in 1965, and bingo, that's why there was people waiting on it. Just
Oh,
my theory.
wow.
We were
That's interesting.
we were told 20 years in advance where it would be basically the area it would be coming into, and we were waiting on it. That just my theory.
Whoa. Okay, well, that's interesting, John. And Smooth Criminal Triple OG. Thank you for that super sticker. Okay, thank you so much. Says, if anyone's interested, Hans Kammeler was the German who was successful in making the bell work a week before the end of the war.
There you go.
He unalived everyone, including everyone involved, and disappeared. Some say to South America, and we've heard that before. Okay, some say that Schmittler. Okay, we'll say his name different. Schmittler ran down to South America, to Argentina, potentially. Now, this is for entertainment purposes only, but that's one of the theories, is that they actually set up communities down there in South America of lots of German families, German people. If they didn't come to the U.S., they went down there.
What if Maria Orsic was sitting inside the Glocka, and that's what landed in Kecksburg? You know, people wonder what happened to her. And how long was the trip for her? 5 minutes? A couple of minutes to go across 20 years?
Oh my gosh! Well, if it's a time traveling device, could have been an instant.
Yeah. Now we're top of the hour. I do want to get one thing in on this, and I want to float something by you.
Okay.
Are you finding it harder to find information on stuff?
You mean like things that aren't listed online anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what search engines you use. Absolutely, there are certain ones that I don't use at all anymore because information just doesn't flow like it used to. And
yeah, I used to be able. This story I'm about to tell you about John Murphy connected to Kecksburg. There used to be all kinds of information about it.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, man, I could barely find anything. Also, like there was a cruiser, an Australian cruiser. I can't recall the name right now. I use this in my book too. That was supposedly engaging 2 UFOs off the coast of Vietnam in 1968. I wish I could remember the name of the dadgum ship. It gets away from me right now. But anyway, two American Air Force F-4 Phantoms were launched toward that area or vectored toward that area to help out this Australian sea vessel, and they fired their missiles at the UFO, and the Australian ship itself fired on this UFO, and supposedly the missiles from the F-4 Phantoms hit the cruiser, killing a couple of its sailors. Now, there used to be all kinds of information available about that, and I can't find anything anymore about it in reference to UFOs. They just make it sound like now these 2 Air Force F-4s went up fired missiles at this Australian cruiser. So I'm finding it harder to find information anymore. Stuff that used to be out there, used to be easy to find, is like just drying up.
Well, things are getting scrubbed. Okay, a lot of things are getting scrubbed. If you know where to find it, I guess you could. But I mean, there's only certain search engines that I go to now, and even those are being censored as well. I think I use like DuckDuckGo as one of them, and it's if you go to Google, you're not going to find a whole lot.
Well, that's where I was.
Can we say propaganda?
Okay. What's that?
Okay, can we just say propaganda? That's my word. That's the word of the day, propaganda. Okay. Yeah, and I can guarantee you, after this video is over today, it's going to have a Wikipedia alert underneath that. You guys just wait. I'll bet y'all money it's going to have some Wikipedia fact check underneath my video today. What y'all want to bet? Who said yes? I know, okay, right?
One more thing on this Kecksburg. This hour is going by fast. I want to get this in.
Yeah, John, we got time. Take your time.
He was the news director for WHJB, a local radio station in the area, and he had gone down to the site and interviewed witnesses and gotten pictures of the object itself. And for a couple of weeks, he was talking about this great documentary he was going to have on the whole incident. It was going to blow the doors off the UFO um, cover-ups and stuff over the radio. It was just going to be this massive thing of information, and he just kept touting it and touting it. And evidently, he did have a lot of evidence, and he had a lot of eyewitness interviews, and he had a lot of photographs. 2 days before he was supposed to give this thing, 2 government officials showed up. Now, in other places, I've seen where it was Air Force officers came, and it was men in black came, or it was just government officials. But whoever it was hushed him, and he went back and took out everything he had, and just put out this kind of mayonnaise covered white bread documentary that really didn't have hardly anything to say on it. And everybody was mad at him, and people asked him, "What happened? That's not what you said you were going to put out." He said, "I'm scared to.
Yeah.
I was told to hush, and I'm going to hush." And then this was 1965. By 1969, I guess he had just stewed on it for 4 years, and he'd gotten angry, and he decided he was going to put it out anyway. And he was working, I think, in California by this time. And so he was announcing he was going to do the documentary. And a few days before he's supposed to do the documentary, he's crossing the street. Car comes, hits him, kills him, keeps going. A hit and run.
Okay. Well, okay, so now people can see why I was sweating bullets the night that I went live to talk about the Apollo 11 moon landing. And I got a proverbial knock at my door, John. And, and I was told to watch what I say. And I made the decision not to talk about all of my data. I did put it up on my Patreon, though. I went ahead and did that, and it was already there. But it was rough, there comes a point where something like that happens, and it was done. In my opinion, it was done as a courtesy to me. Okay, and so it wasn't like I was being threatened. Okay, but I know how this is serious stuff, and I know people got mad at me. There were people that not my crew, not people who know me. Okay, but people that were there to watch that day that were kind of new to my stuff. They were trying to call me out, and be like, well, but when it happens to you, and I'm a single mom. Okay. Right. And I do this for fun. I'm not getting paid for this. Okay. Like this is not my job. I do this because I want to do it. And when it's not, and I always say when it's not fun anymore, that's when I'm going to quit. But I didn't quit. Okay. But at the same time, I see the severity of things, when it comes to disclosure. Okay. And actually just put the fire under my feet a little more. Okay. And, there's just a lot. I mean, I didn't quit talking about it. I went on with my show that night. Okay. But I also know that I'm being watched for sure. Okay. And that's okay. I mean, I've been told that before too. I mean, I got a message from someone who worked at the Pentagon who told me that my shows have been banned there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways.
Friends. I love having notorious friends. This is awesome.
Right? I know, right? Well, it's because of people like you, John. All these people I bring on my shows, and y'all are putting out too good information. Okay, I guess. But yeah, I think it does have a lot to do with the remote viewing and stuff like that. So and it's not just like the disclosure of like cryptids. Okay, everybody knows Bigfoot's real. Not everybody, but most people do. It gets down to where we're looking into topics like the Kecksburg Ufo and the Vril Society.
Government activity. Mm-hmm. We should do taxpayer funded activity.
Oh my God. I know, right? Because if we're paying for it.
Instead of saying one of the three letter agencies that say a taxpayer funded in agency or an agency you pay for.
Right. Exactly. But that's really not how this works. It's almost like we're being conditioned to like take orders from people that we're
Yeah,
paying for. Do you know what I mean? Like they work
yes,
for us. They work for us.
I
Okay.
know. But
So
somehow it got lost in transmission somewhere.
it did. Well, it's called mind control. And I'm breaking out of the mind control. I'm trying to take everybody with me. Okay. Oh wow.
Look at that. As soon as you said that, you disappeared.
Oh my gosh. I didn't do that. I did not do that. That's wild. It's another warning.
Yeah, yeah, could be.
Okay, I don't care. But
Oh,
anyways, this is wild, John. I just got sweaty. When that happened. I thought I was getting shut down for good at that point. But yeah, I mean, we're part of the disclosure movement right now. This is part of the disclosure, and there is, I do believe there is a connection to let's just say German, okay, German technology and the Kecksburg UFO. I think there is a connection to German technology and the whatever they were shooting at with the Battle of Los Angeles. Okay, that was German as well. That was definitely in my remote viewing data of that one, and so a lot of German connections with these UFOs.
did you ever see the movie? It's an old movie, 1942 with John Belushi. It's about World War II and it's a
I,
comedy.
somebody wrote that in the chat earlier. Yeah, there's a.
Well,
I'm
there's
not exactly sure.
all this happening. You know, the Japanese shelled the oil refinery a couple of nights before. And then if that was a German Hanbu over Los Angeles, Slim Pickens in 1942 was right because there's a German officer on his Japanese submarine and they catch him because he falls overboard or something. And he brings him down and he looks, he goes, I knew it. You Nazis and Japanese are all in cahoots. And when you it was German, that's the first thing in my head was Slim Pickens saying that.
Oh my God, those I've not seen that movie or whatever, but yeah, I need to. Going back and watching older movies now, like from when I was a kid, like from the 70s, 80s, whatever, even the 90s, everything is it's all different now. It's like there's so much disclosure in a lot of these movies, a lot of these TV shows that we just took as science fiction, but it's
Yeah.
actually science fact for entertainment purposes only. Yeah. And even the Vril, I was actually warned about talking about the Vril too, the Vril Society, and someone was asking, okay, because the Vril has a lot to do with a lot of this technology, okay,
Yeah.
and so, but you know what? When people warn me about that, it makes me want to look into it more. Okay.
Well, one of Maria Orsich's, she was called the mother of the flying saucer in some circles. So
Okay. Well. Okay. Well, let's just say Schmittler again. Schmittler. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He went to he. I've heard that even today they still have a base. They have bases in Antarctica, John. Right. And I was finding pictures of like, okay, this is like the secret. It's supposed to be a secret. Oh, William's in here. Hey, William. Vril Society is here in the United States. I bet it is. I'm sure it's still here. It's got to be. It's one of those secret societies, I guess, still. But okay, so I found this is like Hitler's secret expedition into Antarctica looking for whales. Okay, like looking for whales. And that looks like a whale right there, I guess.
that's an Uber well from Adolfo.
I know, right? I mean, is that kind of the cover for why the Germans were in Antarctica so heavily back then? Is they were like, oh, it's whales? Or were they really looking for whales back then? I mean, I think it's more than that. I mean, here we go. Here's the man himself right there.
Adolfo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But in Antarctica, and we hear about, what is that, New Schwabenland? Is that
New
that
Schwabenland, yes.
Schwabenland and stuff? Okay. Societies. Okay, John, I just heard recently that Antarctica is turning green.
I've heard that too.
What is that about?
I don't know. I think it's heating. The volcanic action is starting to heat up, maybe, or
I've heard there's also been a pole shift. I'm not sure if I don't know the validity of that, but
well,
um,
I think that's happened before.
mhm,
Um, and it's not like the Earth turns; it's just the magnetic properties of the poles
yeah.
for some reason swap. Yeah,
I wonder if that has something to do with it. Schmittler. It's fun.
Adolfo Schmittler.
Yeah, Schmittler with the schmotzies, the schmotzy party. Oh my gosh. Kent says Antarctica has been cleaned out, at least to his knowledge. Could have been. I don't know. There's a lot going on there that we're not supposed to know about, though. For sure. A lot of stuff that's always why are all the politicians wanting to go to Antarctica?
That's a good question. What was going on down there the election night of 2016?
Right. John Kerry, right?
Yeah. What's he doing down there? Selling
Mm,
ketchup?
maybe they were going to do some time traveling down there. Maybe there's some sort of Stargate or something. Um, Lauren says magnetic north is on the move at a fast rate. That's interesting. Maybe that explains some of that. Um, William Nighthawk, hey William, he says thermal fissure has opened up in Antarctica and there's hidden cities down there. I mean, Antarctica used to be green.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's not always been frozen down there. And I mean, I think that there were, I mean, it was like tropical at one point.
You got to wonder what's living down there. It may not be human. I mean, it may be a race of beings that aren't human.
Yeah. I believe that. I definitely believe that. Moondog says it was reported green by Admiral Byrd with mammoth. Mammoths. Those all sorts of different animals down there. Things that are supposed to be extinct. All sorts of like dinosaurs too, probably. But they said it was beautiful down there.
That's in Relics too, by the way.
Yeah. I know all this is in John's books, y'all. So the Relics series, y'all please go check them out. They're amazing. Olivia says the pole shift is mentioned in the book of Job too.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, and then we get into the ice
Olivia
ring.
would know. I know Olivia. She would know that.
Hey, Olivia. Joe Oregon, what's up, Joe? Says Antarctica is a huge ice ring around on its out level lake. Okay, so this is another topic, John, but we hear about this ice ring around Antarctica and that there are lands beyond the ice ring. Now, what do you think about that? Have you looked into that?
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
Oh, well, it sounds like a new book.
There you go.
Yeah, the ice ring. Okay, that is a really, it's a pretty controversial topic. It's actually, it kind of goes hand in hand with like the flat earth theory too.
Right.
Okay? And that's something that's super controversial.
An ice ring for the flat earth theory to work, don't you?
Do what? I'm sorry. What did you say? No.
For the flat earth theory to work, or you just go off?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But okay, so I'm not sure that there's supposed to be an ice ring. Okay, and if I could pull a map up, but it's supposed to be like a circle.
Yeah.
And beyond the ice ring are other continents. They say like some of the continents actually are what we consider to be outer space.
Outer space or another dimension?
Or another dimension. I don't know anymore. I have no idea. Could be another dimension. But it looks like continents, even like Lemuria and Mu and Atlantis, or like Venus and Mars. I don't know. I'm so confused with all that. I don't know. I haven't even really looked into it that much, but it is very interesting. I'm sure if we wanted to spark up a really hot debate, we could get into it today, because people love to argue about it. Ask me how I know.
Did Adolfo Schmittler get over the ice ring?
I have no idea. Probably. Maybe that's where he's living or where he lived instead of Argentina. He went outside the ice ring. I don't know.
I got to look that up though. I want to check that out.
Yeah. Kent says that the earth is round. Like if you took a basketball and pushed it down the top, oblong, Enoch saw the earth and it was round. That's an eyewitness. LOL. Okay, now that's another thing that remote viewers have remote viewed. People that I work with, okay, like amazing, top-notch remote viewers, they say that 100% the earth is round. Okay, and that's just from a remote viewer standpoint. The earth is round. I've always believed the earth is round too. But then again, some days I think we just live in a simulation. Like I feel like we live in the Truman Show. Okay. I don't know what's what anymore, John.
I don't either. And I'm going to do my next 20, 25 years and just go with the flow, man.
Do your next 20 to 25. And yeah, just go with the flow. That's what I do too. I mean, as more information opens up and more dimensions open up and the more Mandela effects happen, anything's possible.
Well, it's all like, I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from remote viewers. I don't remote view. I'd be scared to try. I don't have whatever, special thing it takes to remote view. But everything, really, until it's sitting in our hands or laying on a table, everything's a matter of opinion. Bigfoot. Yeah. Until you put one on a slab, it's a matter of opinion. Especially people fight over what it is. Well, let's get one first, and UFOs, which I've seen several, but I can't tell you what they were. I can't tell you where they came from. I can't tell you there was beans in it, or if it was a drone of some kind. Everything's opinion till we can absolutely prove it. And I think that's how the simulation gets us. We all get a passion for something and we get evidence and we're nailing it's this. That's because we're being fed that, and somebody else is chewing on the other branch, which has something completely different. And I don't know. I would like to see everybody quit fighting about, there's a lot of, a lot of these communities, Bigfoot community, UFO, they get kind of toxic at times. No kidding. But if everybody could just kind of like step back, take a breath, and look at it together, they still might go the exact same things. I don't know. But I just know it's funny watching people fight over what something is when, like, dude, let's get one where we can touch it first, then we'll figure out what it is. I don't know.
I'm with you, John. I like to keep an open mind about everything. And, I know what I've been taught my whole life. And I've always been one to question that. Always. Now more than ever. Okay, now more than ever. But it's almost like things change every day.
Yeah.
Something changes, and I'm open to it.
We get onto something and we think we know or we accept a certain premise, and somebody comes up with another one. And it's almost like human to have a knee-jerk reaction to. It's like, no, that's wrong. What I think is right. And it's just funny, to see some of this fighting and arguing. And it's, that's why I love writing fiction. I can just design the world as I want it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and your books are amazing, 100%.
Thank you.
And yeah, and I did mention the flat Earth theory earlier, and I did that show last year with Jane and Gerald Fountain with Midwest Night Watchers, and we did not take any stance on the flat Earth theory. We didn't, not a single one of us did. We were just putting all the theories out there and letting the audience kind of just see where our thought process is, or where ours are as individuals. And we were just kind of putting the information out there. We talked about the ice wall, and that show still has people arguing in the comments on Instagram today. Yesterday, I had another comment on there. It's like thousands of comments.
the lady that owns the Bigfoot Museum down in Tallahena, I love her to death. In fact, she used to rent this house before we bought it, and so she lived in it before I did. And she's a big flat earther. She's always sending me flat earth. I'm always like, stop it. Just stop. Let's not talk. Let's talk about Bigfoot. I don't want to talk about flat earth. It makes my head hurt. So yeah, it's funny. You're either or. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be true. I'm just saying, what difference does it make? And okay, I see your point, but quit sending me flat Earth maps every day. Here, look at this one, look at that one.
It's interesting. It's very interesting, and like I said, I'm open to it, and I do at times believe that somebody just presses a button and our entire reality changes. Okay, so I don't know. Like I said, oh, cool. Yeah, William, I did get your picture. Let's see. I'll try to upload it. Something fell from the sky recently, and it landed on the beach here. William, if you can give me the context of this is kind of cool. I will show this. I don't know if this came down during the hurricane, maybe. Let's see. I'm going to pull this up for the audience real quick. Oh, and Kent Baxter, thank you for becoming a member of my channel. That is so sweet of you. Welcome in to the channel. Yeah, thanks, Kent. Okay, let's see. Let's pull this up. This is something that has a yellow top on it. People might have seen this online. I think I did come across this.
It's supposedly a buoy that snapped its cable and washed up with a storm.
Oh, okay, so this was from the hurricane?
Yeah.
Okay. It looked like it's something that might have fallen from the sky.
Yeah, a buoy of some kind for some kind of research.
Okay. So that would have been something that was floating, actually.
Yeah. Floating, okay. Or it could have been submerged too, but tethered to the ocean floor.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah. That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down, would be like the weather manipulation stuff going on in Antarctica and in Alaska and all over on both of the poles, I guess.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna mention any names, and I'm not gonna say, but I will say this confusion about this matrix or this simulation and the button being pushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe that's true, but I believe there's an architect to that button and that pushes, and it's not for our good. And I believe there's a power that causes us confusion, causes us strife. You know who I'm talking about, because he's our enemy. He's our eternal enemy, and will always be our enemy. And that's coming from a Christian. But I agree with you. There is somebody pushing a button, and I think it's him. I think he's the author of our confusion, our worry, our illnesses, everything. But that's just me, and I'm not going to say a name because I don't want you to get another little wiki thing under you.
Oh, it's all right. I'd say the devil. Okay, so Satan.
Yeah, I think he's the author of all our confusion, all of it. That's just my theory.
There's something very dark. There's a dark agenda, but guess what? There's people shining light on the dark, and that's much needed right now. And the light will win out this, okay? But it's a matter of just becoming aware of what's going on and exposing.
Well, I didn't know if I could say his name on your feed.
You can say it. Hey, if we can say Schmittler, we can say
Sleuficer.
Yeah. Not today, Satan. Okay, so yeah. We can say it. It is. At this point, it does seem, and it is a spiritual war going on, and this stuff is all kind of included in that. Okay, a lot of things we've been talking about.
It is. It's absolutely.
It is. Let's see. Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, this has been a great show, John. I don't know. Do we have anything else we want to cover today before we call it?
We covered this and a bunch of other stuff. Thank you. I've been enjoying this long, Hope we didn't run too far off the rails.
We didn't. We didn't. I want to go through and make sure that we covered everything from the Kecksburg UFO. Okay. And so, and I do have, we did go over the theories, right? All the theories of what was told to us, what people on the boots on the ground said about it. And there were, the U.S. military was obviously heavily involved in this. And that's where I love having you on the show to come talk about UFOs and things where the military has a heavy presence in it, because you did spend at least 16 years in the U.S. Air Force. And I'm always asking you on these targets, like, or these shows, did you ever encounter UFOs when you were in the Air Force? And, you know, and is that what got you involved in this topic?
You keep asking me, and I keep telling
asking.
Now, ask me sometime when we have time what's happened as a civilian, and I'll be glad to talk about that.
As a civilian, okay, we'll talk about your civilian stuff, because I know you've had some wild things happen probably, and I've seen UFOs.
I will say it's still about the response. Most of my time I worked on the flight line, most of my years in the Air Force, and I was cross trained into disaster preparedness, and we taught NBC, Nobody Cares. That's nuclear, biological, chemical warfare defense. We were kind of like the FEMA for the Air Force. We would respond to crashes, natural disasters, all that. So I'm telling you, the military showing up that quick at Kecksburg when that thing went down, they were already waiting for something to happen. That was just too quick of a response time. I mean, yeah, we could catch up in a couple of minutes if we spot an incoming Russian bomber back in those days, where something just come out of the sky and bang, land in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, and within an hour there's troops there and trucks and setting up a cordon and all that. That was a very quick response, very quick.
It was very, very quick, and there was a cover up. Even Men in Black were involved in this. There was something that I did want to read. Okay, this is a little bit about the programs they had going on then. Before we go today, I meant to cover this earlier, and I want to go ahead and put this out there, because documents that were declassified in 1991 by the Air Force describe an initiative called Program 437, launched in 1964. Okay, and this crash happened in 1965 to keep the American military informed about the Soviet Union. The technology was developed using concepts designed by the schmaltzy scientist Werner von Braun, who was brought from post-war Germany during Paperclip in 1945 and employed by NASA. According to Chapter 4 of Program 437, the Air Force's first anti-satellite program, a report by military historian Wayne Osterman declassified in 1997, the system initially promised to give the U.S. Air Force a unique means of acquiring intelligence about Soviet spacecraft design and capabilities via direct observation of them while in orbit. The Atomic Energy Commission finished its work as the design construction agency for the project in August of 1964, while General Electric, Douglas Aircraft, Western Electric, Univac, and Sandia Corporation framed and submitted work statements. General Electric received a contract on September 10th, and work order for Douglas Aircraft followed 2 days later. What followed was the MK2, an early intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM. Variations of these are still used by nations across the world, including the U.S. and Iran. And eventually, this program was bought by Lockheed Martin, and you can just find that by typing ICBM in your search engine if it's there. And yeah, there's just a whole lot of stuff in the skies, a lot of satellite stuff going on during this time, spying, you name it. Okay, and this was used all over the world back in 1964 to 65, and so this 100% could. It lines up with that data that I got for the session of the remote viewing target of the Kecksburg UFO. It's man-made. Whatever that was is man-made. It's not alien. Okay. It wasn't alien, according to that data. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, there was just a whole lot of satellite stuff going on. I asked you in the beginning of the show if there were like satellites. Well, yeah, there definitely were because we have documentation of it. Okay, and a lot more is going on than most people were aware of, I think. When was the moon landing, John? Do you remember what year that was?
1969.
Okay. The Apollo 11 moon landing.
Right.
The one that I got the phone call about, or it's actually messages about. Yeah. Okay. That was just 4 years after this. Okay,
Yes.
so there was technology for all sorts of things to be in outer space and in our skies then. So okay, well, fantastic show today, John. This
Well,
is fantastic. Thank you for being here. And this, a lot of this is found in your books, especially your book Nepal that just came out recently. But in your Relics series, a lot of this information is in there. So would you like to tell the audience about your book series and where they can find your books?
Yes. My series Relics. The first book started out as a Bigfoot book, and I don't know, by the second book I was in the flying saucer. I brought the story through UFOs in 40s and 50s and into now we're dealing with I've had dogmen in the series, but the big enemy in the series and one control of everything is actually a fallen angel, and that's where the series is going. I recently put the first book in for update, a third edition. Had some typos and stuff I wanted out, and some clunky writing in places. So my second edition, which is out now, is only going to be out for a little while longer, and then the third edition will be taken over. And I'm going to revamp Relics 2 and 3 as well. As I'm just going to do each one in succession. But my website, I'm getting a new website. It's just now getting built. It's halfway open. You can go there, but if you want to find my books, keep checking out www.relicsbooks.com. That's www.relicsbooks.com, or you can find them on Amazon. Just look me up on Amazon, and all my books are there. And like I say, I'm in about 4 to 5 weeks going to have a new version of the first book out. If you want to hold off, or if you want to grab that other one while it's still for sale, because it's going out of print as soon as this one comes up. So yes, so visit my website, and yes, I hope you're interested. And Jessica, thank you for having me. I always enjoy being on your show.
Well, of course. Can I show the cover of your Dark Autumn book?
The new one, sure, by all means.
Is that okay if I show that? Okay, I was going to pull it up. I love this cover. I think this is great.
Yeah, I
okay.
do. I finally got the cover I wanted.
It's amazing.
Well, no, it centers around 4, rogue Sasquatch, and I've never had 4 on the cover. It's always been something else. So.
Okay, it's coming. My computer's so slow today. Here it is. Man.
Yeah.
Let me pull this down. Let me take that down. That's a great cover right there. Look at all those Bigfoots on there.
I'm glad. I told them, I said, okay, now it's a series. You're gonna have to match each one and make it just as good. And they said they could do it. So.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, everybody, please go get John's books. They are amazing. I have just about all of his books, and they're my favorite. And they're nail biting, edge of your seat kind of books. There's a little bit of violence in them, and which is amazing. It's actually good. It's a good thing. There's a little bit of emotional part. I mean, it's just like every bit of it is amazing. I love all your books, but it covers all the topics that we talk about on these shows, y'all. Okay, and John, I'm sure you're going to have the ice wall in your next book. We'll see. Oh my gosh, maybe not, but it is kind of a cool idea. And I can tell you, people are very passionate about that ice wall and that flat earth theory. Okay.
Oh, you're kidding.
For sure. Very, very passionate is the word. Okay. It is. And Ed, I wanted to pull this up real quick before we go too. Edgar says, wasn't there a flock of saucers over the Capitol about the same time as that bell crashing? I remember.
that was 52, but I have to go check. I think it was 52 the night all the saucers were over the Capitol building.
Man, that would be a good remote viewing target.
Yes, it would.
Man. Okay, maybe in the future I'll get that and we'll come back and do a show on that one day or something. That'd be awesome to fly the saucers over the US Capitol.
We need to do a show about that too. Sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, maybe next time. We'll do it next time, John.
On another day.
On another day. Yeah, we have plenty. Listen, I have 4 live shows a week now. And so we can do it anytime. And thank you, Edgar. I appreciate that comment. Right there too. And and I want to thank everybody for all the comments today. Everybody has had wonderful input inside for the show today. Jay Trustiger says Capitol flyover happened in 1952. He says from the Ashtar group. Interesting. Okay, well, this is really cool, John. Really cool. And I am so excited that you got your new book cover coming out. You've done a little update to your Relics book there, and it's amazing. Okay, so y'all go to Relics Books. Pull that back up with the S's on it now. Relicsbooks.com to get your copies, and go to Amazon.com to look up John Vandeventer. Here, there's his name right there on the screen. Okay, you can see it underneath John's picture right there. All right. Well, everybody, have a wonderful day. I'm so glad y'all came and hung out with us on this beautiful Monday. I will be back on Wednesday on a glitch in the Matrix. So y'all please come see me. And thanks for all your support over the weekend with our Saturday night show and last week. And we've got some great shows. I got a great guest coming up this Saturday night too. My buddy with Backwoods Cryptids is coming on. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot and Dogmen and Old Green Eyes on Saturday night. So please don't miss that this coming Saturday. And much in store for us. And John, thank you again for being here. You're the best. I love having you on.
Thank you.
Okay, John. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see y'all on Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for the super stickers and for becoming members of my channel. I appreciate it. All right, we'll see y'all Wednesday. Bye.